One of the main questions. Navigation. How does your navigation work? How do you know? A scout bee flew off. You have such... The scout bee flew 5 kilometers away, saw a large field, and returned to the hive. She told everyone, showed everyone, pointed her finger, and everyone flew away. How does it work? How do bees navigate and transmit information?
Telepathically. Telepathic signals that can be heard over long distances. Are you even audible? Well, for bees, of course.
Naturally understandable.
That is, here, there is such a scheme as in some higher civilizations, telepathy, signaling. And from a distance they can read information. This is what happens. If some bee found something valuable there, some field, then...
Like a bee in its head, it doesn't fly with a navigator, right? How does she fix this point, this field? And how does she convey the information that, guys, in that direction, it means you're flying to the southeast, which means 5 kilometers to the right. Well, 3 kilometers. How does it transmit? How does it record this information? How does it transmit it?
It just happens as a wave signal to which other bees can react and find this place.
That is, a bee flew there to the field, and from there gives a signal, which means to the hive and to the family. They read this signal and fly in this direction, of course. But then, yes, then it really looks like some kind of truth, because
this is a technique of higher civilization similar to this.
That is, they give a signal exactly from the point where they are. And the family records this, which means they send their fighters there, in that direction. Well, that seems to be true. Fine. Fine. So, is there some kind of end date for the completion of the bee's mission on Earth or not? No. Again?
No.
No. So I noticed that somehow bees over the years, maybe it seemed to me, I don't know, bees are becoming less and less every year. This is true. What's happening? Where did the bees go?
Environmental issue. And some other civilizations do not really want to see more of them here on Earth. That is, there is an intervention.
There is an intervention in progress. What kind of intervention exactly? How are the bees destroyed? And what will this all lead to?
It will not be possible to destroy the bees, but this is some kind of dark civilization, I don't know. That a person has access to such an invaluable product. Because if you know how to apply it, the potential is great. That's why it goes like this. Of this civilization, like bees.
That is, it is now not man himself who destroys bees, but a dark civilization. But again, how? Dark civilization gives command to man, right? In the head. Strictly speaking, a person does something. There is information that
Through human hands.
they control human hands. As usual, entities move in and let's go. There is information that spraying some kind of aluminum dioxide or something. I no longer remember the names of all these chemicals, which are special. They spray chemtrails from airplanes, right? Does this have any effect on the bees? Or are bees influenced by the entire ecology, by what is happening on Earth now?
Chemtrails, yes. I see smoke spreading onto them. It affects ecology, yes. In the last 50 years, the environment has deteriorated greatly, which, in principle, it also affects the bees.
Do bees somehow adapt to all this chemical exposure? They do. Do they manage to mutate and survive? Yes, somehow.
To some extent, yes.
Is humanity threatened by famine in the near future?
Yes.
It is.
Yes. But not the entire planet. But such a problem will exist.
There will be a problem. And one of the reasons is the absence of bees, the destruction of bees. Right?
It will have an effect to some extent.
But bees will not disappear completely.
They will not disappear completely. There are wild bees that can live without human intervention and, in principle,
that was my next question. There are many varieties of bees. There are also wasps. There are also wasps as pollinators, am I right? They perform the same function as you. Now the question. A civilization of bees, a civilization of wild bees, wasps, then drones, bumblebees, and so on. Was all this brought in with one civilization at the same time? Or are they subsettlers like people, a dark race, a yellow race, and so on? How does it all look in your world? Why such a gradation?
Specifically, bees were brought in. Some other insects were brought in by other civilizations. The opposite.
So, what other question? Here are the wasps, right? They are like a type of bee, right?
Well, yes. And what are they for? Why were they brought to Earth?
They don't produce honey. Why do they even exist? Their functionality.
They are like spies. They were used here earlier.
Yeah, like spies, that is, for reading some information, right? So then, these bumblebees, how are they healthy? These, what is it called? The same thing. Yes, that is, that...
That is, there is no benefit. Dare more towards wasps, it's closer in classification. But that's how they live their lives.
What are hornets for? I remember the name.
This is a different class of insects. They do not belong to the braids.
This is a different class, isn't this wasp?
In general, they can be biologically belong to one class, but in terms of energy it is different.
What are they for? For balance. For balance. Good answer. Non-specific, of course. When they speak for balance, it seems clear, but at the same time, it is incomprehensible. Yes. Okay, now I'll think about what else. Do you somehow interact with wasps, bumblebees, hornets? Do you interact somehow, or do you somehow avoid each other?
They have some kind of common energy field. To convey some of their own, yes, information there.
So,
Well, it all doesn't really interact in any way. Doesn't interact. This is a common field of information that they can transmit to each other.
you have a language. You don't understand them, right? I mean, as I say, I'm not talking about a specific language, of course. That is, they work on a different frequency telepathically. Or can you understand each other?
They can read, yes. But these hornets, gadflies, and all sorts of flies like that, this is a different energy.
This is a different energy, but now I'm only talking about wasps, about wild bees, bumblebees, and hornets. This is that you are more or less similar to each other.
This is an energy field, an energy field.
You read each other. So you, for example, can read a wasp, what's in her head. Is it her intention or not? Not really. Not really. Not quite like that?
They have a common understanding that this is OSAI, some kind of classification. But no matter how closely they do not communicate in any way, do not transmit information, and so on. That is, they keep themselves apart, bees, and bumblebees.
Yes, that is, they do not understand each other at all. That is how the Russians don't understand, I don't know, the Spaniards, for example.
Not really. It's like Russians and Belarusians.
But now we have reached some understanding. That is, some things are clear, but some things are unclear. Yes, right? It's clear. Now it's clear. Fine. We have figured it out. That is, there is some kind of language more or less there. Somehow you can speak to each other, but you consider them somehow enemies or not enemies. Let's say hornets attack there, and to the hive. It happens, yes, in the case that the wool does not fly into the mark to eat. And there they remain.
Well, not exactly enemies, more like neighbors.
Well, it's clear how the same interaction as we have among people, but essentially,
but everything is harmonious. In principle, they are not hostile to each other. That is, there is an understanding that there are bees and there are other bees.
Species, but it all takes place. It's clear why families, let's say, fly away. The queen flies away, and the whole family flies away. What is this connected with?
Well, it's as if some kind of energy is no longer there. They did everything there, and there's no point in taking honey there, much less producing it. That is, the mission is completed and they are moving.
And they move. It's clear. How long does a bee live on average?
3 years.
Lives for 3 years. It's clear how she feels in her social world, in her small social world, how she feels, let's say there's a bee scout. She knows that she's a scout. And does she know her functionality?
Yes, they have it all written down.
They have it written down.
Well, yes, every bee knows why. And how she does it, how she does her job. That is, it's like a computer. Everything is controlled inside their brain, let's say.
Yes, they are hard-coded, but let's say they take a photo of a perfect hexagonal look there. Then, here's how they keep all these cell sizes there and so on. How can a person understand how they do it?
This is difficult for a person to understand, but in general, bees were, again, I repeat, brought by another civilization, which imbued them with an understanding of all this. Programmed. Therefore, there is such an ideal vision and an ideal one.
Bees, each bee has its own intelligence, or they turn to some kind of cloud storage and type into your collective common mind. How do they interact?
In general, they have such a hive mind. Collective, right? If they live in a hive, what is it like? A family is like some kind of group, community, and there they adhere to certain rules. And they have such a collective mind there.
Clear. So what else is so interesting? Based on the usefulness of honey, it is clear that wild honey is the healthiest, right? Or does it matter?
The wild one is the most useful in terms of energy. On energy. Yes. Well, honey, which produced in hives, it is also good enough for humans. Enough in some.
What is the healthiest honey? Can you give some classification of honeys? Linden is the most useful, with so-and-so in second place. Do you have this?
I received a dark variety of honey, buckwheat.
Is this the most useful thing? It seemed to me that he was the very best. Low grade.
Don't know. What I see, I tell you.
Yes. Yes.
All sorts of little flowers.
Wildflowers, herbs, right? Fine. Can you give us any secret about using honey? What we don't know. Some hint. So unique for people that everyone would be stunned.
Here Mumino comes to me. But, of course, people know about this, but it can be used.
We know this, and what we don't know, I don't know there. Drop a drop of honey in your ear, jump 3 times, and in the morning you will be happy. Something like this.
No, I can't tell you anything. I don't see anything.
They don't give us information.
That is, what people are already using. That is, honey with milk, some kind of honey rub for food. All people know this.
We know this all. Yes, we know this. So this knowledge is enough, right? For a person, well, not all people use it well, makes some kind of appeal to people.
Хорошо. Какое-то обращение сделайте к людям.
So that some information reaches a little people, and they begin to think about the meaning of life in general.
Вообще о смысле жизни.
Do you have the opportunity to apply now?
People so that people take care of nature, take care of it like you, turn to nature because power.
Как-то обращались к природе. Потому что сила
In natural things like honey, and so on.
мед и так далее.
Well, just take care of nature. I won't say anything supernatural. And also to understand and protect these hives, bees.
Вот эти вот ульи, пчел.
Because bees help humanity survive, let's put it that way.
Скажем так.
It's clear. Fine. Thank you very much for your communication.